Horses, Hope, and Hustle, the podcast where faith leads, grit drives, and the Western way of life runs deep. I'm your host, Crystal Show, wife, horsewoman, entrepreneur, and believer that God doesn't waste the hard stuff. Around here, we talk real stories, big dreams, and the kind of hustle that's rooted in hope. So pull your hat down, pour that coffee, and let's ride. Today, I'm joined by Jennifer Bishop of the Jennifer Journals and host of the Trainer's Wife podcast. We're talking about what inspired her to create a platform that highlights the women behind the horse industry and her own journey of giving herself permission to pursue what was on her heart. This conversation is about passion, purpose, and building community among women in the equine world. Let's get into it. That's awesome.
Well, hi,
all right.
How are you?
Well, now that we're back, a little technical error there at the beginning. Jennifer, do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure.
First, I want to start with Jennifer's also a podcast host, so she gets to be on the other side of the screen today.
That is correct. And I'm a little nervous about being on the other side, and mostly because I don't do the screen. I just have audio podcasts so far because I'm not brave enough to try the video. But my name is Jennifer Bishop. I guess to introduce myself, I am a podcast host. I host The Trainer's Wife. It is a podcast that highlights and celebrates the lives of the wives of horse trainers in the Western equine industry. I have gotten to interview one horse trainer husband, Tucker Robinson. That was a lot of fun and a different viewpoint for sure. But honestly, I dove off into this a little over a year ago because a long time ago, I had the idea to start writing, like as an author, articles about the lives of horse trainer wives. And I never really took the opportunity to fully do that. I didn't dive off in it. I didn't do it. I enjoy writing articles, but it just never shaped. So I guess I'll tell a little more backstory because it's a long and convoluted way to get here. In 2023, I think, I decided to move to Oklahoma to spend some time caregiving and taking care of my dad, who needed some extra care and someone around to kind of more protect him from people who were taking advantage of him. He's 88 now, so he'd been 85 then, and there were some predatory things going on, and so I just really felt it on my heart and moved to take care of him. So I moved to Oklahoma, and in doing so, I kind of had to uproot my life at that time. And at the time, I worked for NRCHA, the National Rank Cow Horse Association, as the programs manager. So I loved that job. That was my heart job. I had worked with NRCHA for years as a contract person at most of their premier events. And so I didn't get to do that very long. And so when I moved to Oklahoma to take care of Dad, I just lost all that connection to the horse world. You know, I had to find a different job. It's stable. It's great. I love the people. It's a good job. It's not really me. I do work in customer service. We manufacture aviation parts for small jets. It's really cool. If you're into that. But I do love customers. I love taking care of them. But at the same time, I missed the horse deal. I missed our Western equine world. I missed that connection. And I just found myself so far removed from it. And I kept thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm listening to podcasts all the time, you know, and of Western type things. And I can't even make this up. It just fell on me. I'm like, you should do a podcast about the trainer's wife, because I'd always wanted to write the articles. And it's something that it's really bottomless. You're not going to run out of women to interview to talk about what their life is like doing this. Honestly, I don't know why I thought of it, but I did. around Thanksgiving time of 2024. And I told my sister, and she's like, do you even know what to do? And I said, well, no, I don't know what to do. Of course not. And by February of 2025, I was interviewing people, and I was asking everybody that would stand still long enough to answer my questions. Hey, how do I do this? And I just did it. I just kept asking questions and kept trying, and I just did it. So that's how the podcast evolved. What else do you want to know?
How did you get into working for the NRCHA? I mean, did you grow up with horses? Did you grow up showing?
Yeah, so I kind of grew up with horses. When I was a little kid, and my sister was a little kid, we're about 4 years apart. Um, we both had a strong background in 4-H, and we were in Oregon. And in Oregon, horse 4-H was a little different than where it was where we moved to after that. But it was like you went to the 4-H horse show, and it was kind of like going to an open show or even a little bit of an AQHA or breed show, because they had all the classes and all the judging, and it was a big deal, and you qualified to go to state and all that. And then you went to monthly meetings and you filled out your 4-H book, and it was so cool. I loved it as a kid. It was something to really be a part of. And my sister also rode hunter jumpers. She was developing into that. She's 4 years older, so she was doing quite a bit more. So I was just getting into that, and it was the early 80s in Oregon, and Oregon is based in timber. And so the logging industry kind of took a hit at that time in the economy. And even though Dad didn't work in timber at that time, construction stopped there. He was in construction and it stopped, and he had to find a job. He had to find something. And ultimately he found work in Colorado, which is a long ways from Oregon.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we moved to Colorado. And at that time we had to sell. I mean, money was pretty tight. And so all the horses got sold, and we moved to Colorado into this little bitty apartment and we were eastern Colorado, so east of Colorado Springs. So no trees, grass, prairie. My mother was devastated. She couldn't believe that we were there. But, I think it's where we were supposed to be. Ultimately, I know that about our lives. It's where we were supposed to go. Funny story, we hadn't been there very long, and we figure out that a man named Frank Dickinson lives half a mile from us, and Frank Dickinson raised a very famous horse back in the day who did the all-around stuff, and his name was Silky Fox. So Frank raced Silky Fox, and he was a half a mile away, and his ranch manager, breeding manager, went to our church, and my dad didn't know a stranger, so we met the Dickinsons and got to see Silky Fox. And it wasn't very long that they had a mare die and an orphan foal, and they gave it to us.
Oh, wow.
And so we raised that evil little thing, because that's what you do with orphan foals, because if you don't discipline them, they are evil.
They do turn into, yeah.
But that was kind of our entry back into the horses. So anyway, my sister and I remembered that story the other day, and we laughed about it. She's like, how do you even remember that horse's name? And he was by a horse called Borrow K, which doesn't matter to anybody, but it was just it's something I really remember. It made an impression. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was the entry back into that. So we fast forward several years, and I met a reining horse trainer and also colt starter. Like he was a colt starter, but he was showing in the reining and having a tiny bit of success. And ultimately I married him, and we spent 18 years together. So I became a horse trainer's wife. Mm-hmm. We got married. I was pretty young. But yeah, I mean, we trained horses, and so we trained reiners. We ultimately trained cow horses, started having a lot of success in the cow horse through the Colorado Rein Cow Horse Association, and we were attending NRCHA premier events. We were also going to Texas. I remember we made a trip to Florida for a big horse show there. We just went everywhere and loved the cow horse. So that's where my interest in the cow horse developed was during that time. But also we were a big part of the Colorado Reined Cow Horse Association. We served in, every role. We were both a president. We were both a vice president. I think I secretaried for a while. And just really felt strongly about keeping that association alive and growing and going forward. And so proud to be a part of what it has become today, because it really is a great association. Not really, I don't do much with them anymore. But over the years, I did secretary horse shows and I managed horse shows. And after some time, I think it was probably in 2018 or 19, I had applied or asked, I don't remember how it all went down, to go and work in the office at an NRCA premier event. And so I did that. And that's kind of how that started. So I started doing that and going to all the premieres. And at one time, they needed someone to work full time. And, it was just the right time in my life to go do that. And so I did. I went and did that in 2022. And as I said, I was only there a year before I noticed the situation with my dad. And although it wasn't very far away, I went from Texas to Oklahoma, it just didn't work out for me to stay. And that's okay. They rolled with it, and so did I. And I still get to go attend and watch the events and be a part of stuff, and that way. So I enjoy it. And now I'm doing the podcast and stepping into perhaps even an additional role beyond that. So Did I answer the question at all? I'm sorry.
You did. It was awesome. You're doing a great job. Let's talk, kind of circle back more to why you started the podcast. Your podcast is called The Trainer's Wife.
It's important to me to recognize what they do and what they bring. Is that what you're asking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the Trainer's Wives, I think I'm up to like 30 or so by now, I believe. And they, on the surface, they're a wife, so they do all the wife things, but it gets so much deeper. Some of them have careers of their own. Some of them have kids. Some of them run the business, plus their career, plus the kids. Some of them are non-pros and they show. Some of them are horse trainers themselves. So they do all those things, plus they train horses and have their own clients right alongside their husbands. It's just never ending. It's breeding season. It's hauling stuff to the vet when it's injured. It's doing vet work to them while they're at home, because we all know we're our own vet when we have to be. It never stops. Sometimes it's handling the clients because maybe the husband isn't that people person. Sometimes it's dragging the arena. Sometimes it's building fence. Sometimes it's cleaning stalls. Sometimes it's feeding twice a day. It's the full management of the operation. And I love to dig into their stories and let them define to the world what they do. And I hear from some of them that, and they're so gracious about this, and and they do it because it's what they do, it's what they love, they're building their life. But sometimes they are so overlooked, and they really are gracious about it. They really are. And I had one lady brave enough to admit that, their customers were just not very nice to her sometimes. They weren't very nice to her. They weren't very nice to the kids. And they had to figure out a way to let those customers go and find people that aligned with them and were a better fit. And that's not easy, because you talk to them about how they starve in the beginning, and I laugh with them and joke, and I still think I might do this someday, but we laugh and joke about all the ways there are to cook ramen noodles. And it's silly, but it's a common thread through so many stories about, the horses eat first, and they eat really well, and they get health care first. They get vet care before you get to eat, before you get to go to the doctor, sometimes before your kids get to go to the doctor. The horses come first, because if the horses aren't healthy and strong, the other things don't become a choice. You know, they
Mm-hmm.
have to be taken care of, and you will sacrifice everything for that. And these people have, and I lived that life. You know, you just figure out how to live, and you eat less, and you try harder, and you work harder than you think you can. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the thing. It's not so much about working harder, it's working harder than you think you can.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to celebrate them. I want to push them forward. I want to take them out of the win photo where they're standing towards the back and people are surrounding them and nobody knows they're in it. I want to take them out of that win photo and say, hey, she's the reason that some of this happened. He's talented and he can do all that. And and there's no doubt that he can do it and he's talented. I don't want to take anything away from the men. I don't hate men. I think men are great. I think that you know, I look around. I've been single for 4 years now, and I'm like, wow, I sure miss that. I miss having them to do the
Mm-hmm.
things and to be the companion. And they're so important. It's so cohesive. It's not about that. It's about celebrating the women that are beside them, that make them better, that make them stronger, that make a situation where they can go succeed.
Yeah.
Because that's what these women do.
I think it's awesome to give them a platform for them to be seen and heard too. Because, like you said, I think the husbands, at the end of the day, they're acknowledging it, but the rest of the people that see their husband succeeding don't often realize everything that the wife is doing in the background.
100% they don't know. And you know, one of the things that these women have to do is they have to run interference. They have to run interference between the horse trainer husbands and the customers. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people don't understand that. You know, and they do it with grace, and they do it in such a way that it's so valuable to their businesses. You know, and maybe people do recognize it more than we know, but it's so I just admire it. You know, I like I said, I got to do it for several years, and I don't know that I was ever very good at it. Um, but I just know that I look as I stand back and I'm a people watcher. I'll sit back at horse show and I just watch it unfold, and I'm like, wow, she's amazing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Trisha Gilson is a woman who spoke on my podcast and said it so well. She's like, when I see a woman do something hard at a horse show and nobody else sees it, you know, when she disciplines a child or when she handles a situation, she's like, I go find her privately later and I tell her that I appreciate that about her, that she did a great job. And that's the community that I want to continue to celebrate and build and let these women know they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a common thread I've found in my podcast is it's very lonely. Yeah, you have some friends and yeah, you get to talk a little and you text and you call a little, but not very much. And it's there needs to be a stronger community of these women where we have a place to lean on each other and share and talk about what you know what's on our hearts and what's important, and we don't know how to send this bill, or we don't know how to charge for that, or we don't know how to handle this with our husband, and what did you do, and what about this with my kids and homeschool here, and the topics are endless.
Mm-hmm.
And I never had the confidence as a young trainer's wife to reach out to anybody and ask. I didn't. I was embarrassed. I was shy. In fact, I mean, I felt like I was in a position where if I was to, you know, say, hey, I have a question about this, I would feel dumb. I would feel silly. I would feel like that kid in class that shouldn't have raised their hand. And it should not be that way,
Yeah.
100%. We should be helping each other and leaning on each other all
Mm-hmm.
day, every
Yeah. It's really neat to see you open the door to that because I do agree. I think sometimes as women too, we come as I don't know how to put this. I'm not meaning it in a bad way, but as more competition with each other when we're not. It's like
Oh,
we're all just trying to do our best. We're all just trying to show up, and it's not easy. So I think opening that door to a community of saying, "Hey, when you need it, you can feel comfortable reaching out." I think there's a lot of power in that.
Yeah, I love how you said that because sometimes it does feel like a competition and it shouldn't be. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Women can be horrible to each other. We can be catty and negative and bad, and there's no reason for it. There's no
Mm-hmm.
reason. You know what? If she has time to go get her nails done and her hair done, celebrate her. Say, "Man, you look amazing. How do you fit that into your life?" Not, "You look amazing. You must not have anything to do." Why
Yeah.
would you treat her that way? So change your perspective, change how you talk to people, change how you think about people, you know? And if she has the wherewithal to show up at the horse show and look good and you feel less because of that, I think the most that you can do for yourself is, we talk about, you hear so much about loving yourself, and people kind of blow that off and they're like, oh, whatever, love yourself. Well, you know what? Love yourself a little bit to realize that if you don't look good at the horse show because you're wearing a ball cap and you got a ponytail and you're sweaty, love yourself because you have the ability, and be grateful that you have the strength to go wash manes and tails and clean stalls and schlep stuff from the horse trailer to and from the tack stall and get horse B to point A, and that you can do it all day long, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And then you know what? When the horse show's over and you don't have to work that hard, schedule yourself a manicure. Go to the hair salon. Take a day off. Take time for yourself and realize that it's okay. Don't hate on that other person for that. Celebrate for that. And remember that when you see something in other people that just annoys you to no end, sometimes that's because you're looking in the mirror. you know,
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
it really is. And turn turn that turn that competition, turn that envy into something that lights a fire under you, that helps you understand who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see. That's what I want these women to do for each other. I want them to go, you know what? Okay, I get that. And and if I'm annoyed at her for having her nails done and her hair done, then I probably need to examine myself a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And what am I missing? And why am I mad about it? And
Yeah.
instead, go tell her, you look beautiful. And can you tell me your secret?
Yeah. Well,
And
and
you know what?
she's probably got some kind of her own insecurity that you don't even realize.
That is 100% true. She's looking at you going, man, she's able to help him in a way that I can't. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a good mom, and I raise the kids, but I don't really do this horseback stuff. I mean, I got him here and I made the entries, but you know what? Nobody knows that. Nobody
Yeah.
knows everything that I did to support and get him here. Um, but maybe she feels less than because she doesn't do the ag part of it. We don't know what's going on there, so let's just be
Mm-hmm.
happy for each other and celebrate our differences. And I don't mean that in like a, I don't know, a mainstream kind of way. It sounded kind of weird. I don't want that, but I, we're just humans, and all we can do is be better humans. That's what I want every day for myself, is to be a better human, because I know that I look back at my life and I'm like, oh, I didn't act good there, and I have been judged, and I have done all those things. I'm not saying it like I've never done it. I'm saying like I'm the queen. I've done all of that, and it's not okay. I want to be better, and
Mm-hmm.
I just want to give these women a place to lean on, and know that they're not alone.
Yeah. No, I think it's awesome. I think it is definitely something that the industry needs a lot of. Is just genuine good intention community.
Yeah, community, connection, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that.
Really quick, if you're a business owner within the equine industry, this is for you. The Horses Hope and Hustle Network has some extremely exciting expansion coming in the near future, and we want you to grow with us. Get your brand seen in front of the genuine horse people that are part of the Horses Hope and Hustle community. Contact us today. Find more info on horseshopeandhustle.com or reach out to us through our Facebook page. Let's go build something amazing together.
So
I don't know if you want to talk about this, but you're kind of using that passion to do some retreats, correct?
Yes, I am. I am crawling out of my skin, excited about the retreats. I can't believe you're asking. I'm so happy.
Well, let's hear about the retreats because I think that this is also a very neat idea too.
Well, thank you. So, as I started the podcast, I'm not going to lie. I was doing the podcast and I'm driving to horse shows and I have hotel bills and I have fuel and I have, meals and I'm buying equipment and I'm doing everything on a shoestring because I don't have a ton of money. I just have my little job and it's a good job and I love it, but it's just my little job. And I'm like, this is expensive. I mean, there are pieces of this that it's costing me to do this, but I don't want to give up. I don't care. It's important and I need to figure out a way to take care of it. And I was thinking about getting a second job. I'm like, well, that's not what I want. I don't want another job. I want this to fill my life somehow. Mm-hmm. So I reach out to God, to universe, to everything, and I'm like, this is what I want. I want to figure out how to live my life and give back and be connected to this equine ranch kind of world. These are my people. They always have been in some way or another. And what does that look like? And just kept saying, what does that look like? What can I do? What can I create? So I listen to podcasts and there's these ads and sometimes the podcast itself has a service or a product. I'm like, I have no service. I have no product. I don't. I have none of these things. Yeah. And I'm like, what could it be? And so this is a little bit crazy, but my whole life I've always thought, I just really want to have a bed and breakfast. And people are like, are you out of your mind? And I'm like, you don't cook. And I'm like, well, I cook a little and I can
I can cook breakfast.
I can make things. And I think you can do anything you want to do if you really put your mind to it. I really believe that, no matter what. But let's just say when I was a trainer's wife, there were so many nights that my house was full. Like I had 2 beds in the basement. I had 2 extra bedrooms upstairs. There was a pull-out couch. There were living quarters trailers in the driveway. I felt like there were times when all I did was laundry to wash all the bed sheets and make coffee and figure out that there was something there for people in the morning. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I know how to put these things together and to do it and entertain. And then I've had other times in my life when, I've had nice dinner parties and I can do that stuff. I know how to do it. My mom cleaned houses for wealthy people in Colorado Springs for so many years, 20 some years. I don't even know how long it was. And I would go help her. And then when they had dinner parties, they would have her come to serve and clear and do the kitchen and keep up with the dishes and all that stuff. And I would get in those places. I would sell those fancy wine glasses and the beautiful plates and the settings and the flowers. And I loved it. I just thought it was amazing. Well, now, don't get me wrong. I have had some dinner parties in my home and it stresses me out to the point of I'm like preparing for 3 and Christmas at my house. When I have hosted Christmas or a party, people don't want to be around me by the time it's over because I get a little crazy. But I have figured out how to manage some of that. But I enjoy it and I love it and I take a lot of pride in it. Okay, so I've really gotten off track here. I'm sorry. But at any rate, somewhere along the line, some of this came to me. I thought, how can I pull these women together? How can I create a community? How can I find a place to join them in one place, give them an opportunity to share their stories, and connect with each other in a way that they don't get to do at a horse show. At a horse show, it's all business. They got to be on, like the switch is flipped, and they got to be on, and they have to be working and dealing with customers and handling their husband and their children if they're there, and finding new customers and entries and getting to the back gate on time. There's so much to do. So somewhere along the line, I kept seeing things for kind of like the podcast came to me. I just kept seeing things for retreats. And I'm like, I don't really know what that is or what it's about. And I keep seeing different things. And they're specifically They're like ag-based retreats, like for farms and some ranches. And then I'm like, okay, so this is a thing, and maybe I could do this. So I just started putting it together. I just started researching and digging in and trying to figure out what I could offer people if I did a retreat that brought together women of the equine industry and the ranching industry. So I'm thinking about not just trainers' wives, I'm thinking about owners and breeders and non-pros and ranch wives, and I think about vendors at the horse shows. And you know who else I think about at the horse shows? Those women and some men that walk around with cameras and they're doing all the social media for all of the horse trainers that are there, and they're just in the background all the time. I'm thinking about the women in the office who put on the horse shows, the women in the office who put on the American Rope Horse Fraternity, the women who, all of these women who are bringing rodeo secretaries, all these women who are bringing this Western equine world together. And they just need a place to let down for a weekend. And something, and I know that it's hard. It's hard to show up somewhere and be vulnerable. It's hard to show up somewhere and turn the switch off. And one thing that I'm going to offer, that I want to offer, and I think it's going to be the cornerstone piece of what I do, is I'm going to give them an opportunity to be anonymous. We're going to talk about things that I'm going to let them give me something that's on their heart that they want to talk about, and we're going to talk about it anonymously. And that way they don't have to be so vulnerable, but maybe they can get an answer to a question that is weighing on them, and they can get the input from the other women, and those women are going to step up, and I know that they're going to say before it's over, I went through that, and this is how I did it. And they're not going to be speaking directly to the person who asked the question, because sometimes it's too hard to ask that question in public. It's too hard to show what's on your heart or what's in your home, or, it could be very private things. As women, we go through so much. We go through things that are hard for us to share, things with our husbands, things with our kids, things with our women's health. Women's health is a mystery to people. And thank goodness in this season of my life, I have discovered ways to research women's health in a way that is totally different than my mother taught me. And I'll just, I'm not shy to say that the Mel Robbins podcast, she tackles women's health in a way that's never been tackled, and it has helped me and saved me. And so if I can tell anybody in the world about that, I want to, because it's important. It's not understood. And you don't have to, let me just say to every woman listening, you don't have to live like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you don't have to live like that. It can be managed. And I think we're ashamed of it. We hide from it, all of these subjects. And I just want to bring people together to talk about those things, to have some honest conversations. And while we're at it, this first retreat, it just so happens that it landed on the same weekend, those are the dates I found, as the Run for a Million. And at first I'm like, oh, that's not good. And then I thought, oh, that is good. That's amazing. I found this place, and they have this beautiful common area with these great big TV screens, and we can have Run for a Million watch parties. How much fun will that be? And right in the middle of all this, there's a shuffleboard table and a pool table and a poker table, and we can have some drinks and watch the Run for a Million and cheer on the people that we know and love and celebrate what is going on in that arena in Las Vegas while in the evening before we go to bed. And during the day, we can go to the pool. We'll gather in rooms. We'll have brunch. We'll have a wine tasting. We're going to have so much fun, but we're also going to have these honest, amazing conversations where we can connect and get some questions answered. And I'm not afraid to say that I have signed on my keynote speaker, and I'm so proud of her, and I'm so excited to present her to the world and tell everybody that she's going to be there. So do you want to hear it first?
That's so exciting. Do you want to say it here first?
I do, actually. Well, I don't know if it'll be first. By the time this airs, it might be somewhere else, but I am proud to say that I have definitely signed up Laura Teague as my keynote speaker. She is the owner. Her and her husband own the Crossbell Ranch up in outside of Tuckahoe, Oklahoma. They bought that historic ranch and have been there since I think 2020. But more so than that, they are the owner of Teague Diversified, that has quite a bit of history in Fort Morgan, Colorado. She was a county commissioner for 10 years. She just has so much history and is such a strong woman in I'm sorry, my thing is dinging and I can't make it stop.
Oh, I can't hear it. I don't hear dinging, so you're good.
But she's just such a strong woman in our industry, and I'm so excited that she has agreed to come and talk with us and be a leader at our first retreat up there in Tulsa at Post Oak Lodge. And I'm just vibrating over all this. I cannot wait, and I can't wait to take reservations and meet with everybody that weekend. So
that's so exciting.
Thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. It means so much to me.
Absolutely. I think when it's awesome to see people that are pursuing like their true passion. Like it's not like, oh yeah, I'm doing this as a way to make money, which obviously we all need a cash flow things to survive. That's just life. But when you're pursuing something because it's heavy on your heart rather than just for the money, it's awesome. It's awesome to see people chasing that.
I've spent so long not really knowing exactly what it is that I want or what I'm passionate about. Or, I think I've had little things over the years for sure. And it's things that are in the moment. But I don't know when I've had something that I've been so driven to do as how this is affecting me. So.
Well, that's awesome. Good for you.
Thank you.
You might be the one that walks away with the most out of all of this, and that's not even your intention.
Wow. I had not considered that, but that's a beautiful way to think about that. Thank you. Thank you for helping me see a different perspective there, because I had not considered that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, that's super exciting. If anyone listening wants to sign up, they can go to your website, right? Is it on your website?
Yes, it is on my website. Yep. I have a great lady who does my website, but she gets very busy with her own photography. Kim Nordby is an amazing photographer, but she's also a great website manager. And I really have been in there mucking it up and making a mess of my website. So she's going to have a lot to clean up and take care of. So it's not perfect and pretty, but it's functional at the moment.
Yeah.
And when she sees
Function is most of it.
When she sees what I've done, she's probably not going to be impressed.
This was very important. I needed this on there.
I did.
Yes.
And she was like, I don't know. I saw some picture on Facebook where she'd taken photos in Spain. And so I'm glad she was in Spain taking pictures. But that just meant I had to do my own thing and ask ChatGPT how to do it. So we figured it out together.
There you go. There you go. I love when people are pursuing this. We kind of touched lightly about it before we started recording, but I love when people just start chasing whatever they feel called for. And the person you become and the skills and things, the knowledge you gain along the way is worth all of the hassle to do it.
It is. Yeah. When you do it yourself and you learn so much as you go, it makes all the difference in the world. Mm-hmm. And I mean, to stay up late, to get up early, I'm an early riser anyway, but, I woke up I didn't mean to, but I woke up this morning at 3:45, and at 4, I'm like, okay, this is stupid. So I got out of bed and I sat down, I started editing a podcast. And at 5, I thought, okay, I better get ready for work. So I got ready for work, and I was to work by 6. And then I get home, I come home, and then I start doing more of this. And it just means so much to me that, I have the time, I have the ability. And when I say it means so much to me, I mean that I am grateful that I have this opportunity to put all of my energy into something that I'm building that could touch somebody else's life. Mm-hmm. That's what means something. And in the end, not in the end, but honestly, in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end, if I get to make my living that way, that's a dream come true. And I don't know that I've ever looked at anything like that. I've never been like, oh, dream come true kind of woman, because I've spent my life in the background pushing other people forward. You know, I've had several former lives, and in all of those former lives, I've been an assistant, I've been the partner, I've been the wife, I've been that person that's pushing something else forward. And for it to be my dream coming true, that's different. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. There's a lot of power in that.
I feel it. I feel it for the first time in a long time. And I'm so glad I found it, because I've gone through a lot to get to this. And I don't mean I've gone through a lot, and it hasn't been dramatic, but I feel like I've gone through a lot. I feel like for me, it's been a lot, you know? It's not like I have this crazy, dramatic, sad story. I don't have any of that. I've had a decent, good life. But I also, you know, when I really think about it, and if I get super honest about it, I've gone through this weird little almost depression thing. And I would come home, and this isn't me. Like, I would come home and I would do exactly what I had to do and no more. And I would sit and I would watch TV, or I would read a book, and I wouldn't get up and I wouldn't do anything. And then I would go to bed. And, you know, I got in this place of, I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't see anybody. I took care of my dad. I took care of my 2 cats and a dog, and did the dishes, ignored the laundry, you know. I did. That's not who I am. And I got in this place, and I had to find something to pull myself up out of it. And this has been it. And I love that has happened. You know, I love that I've found something to drive me forward and to do more, and to feel good about my life and what I'm doing. And mostly it's because I'm doing it for other people. It's not because I'm doing it for me. It's because it means something to someone else.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's
you didn't have
that. I love it. It's so good. I think it's incredible when you are pursuing something you're passionate about, because you lived through all of that, and it made you who you are today. So it gives you even more motivation to go and do this and build this. And that, I think that goes a long way in entrepreneurship, or even just in chasing our passion for life, or our passions in life, because it does get hard. There are a lot of hours when you are, building something with and trying to work a full-time job and this and that. It's not easy, but when you have that much passion to chase it, it helps.
It does. Yeah. Yep.
It's awesome. I love it. When you had called me a while back, I don't even know, was it last week? I don't even know. It seems just, I don't even know what today is, Thursday, I think. But whenever we talked on the phone, we talked a lot about community. And I loved how you were like, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just started doing it. And I was like, same, me too. I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it.
I have spent so long, I guess, waiting for things to be perfect, waiting for things to be right, waiting to get the approval of somebody else. I did it as a kid, as a little kid. I was the youngest of 3. I was the youngest of all the cousins. And so everything I did, I felt like I had to ask permission for my whole life. And I was waiting for the approval of all those older kids. And then as I grew up, I hung out with older kids. I hung out with older people. I didn't hang out with people my own age. And so I didn't learn to respect my own thoughts or respect my own voice. And I am right here today at the ripe old age of 53. Thank you very much. And I am so excited to say that I'm not waiting for permission anymore. And that's not to say that I'm not going to chuck caution to the wind and do whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm going to vet my ideas, but I'm going to vet them for me and see if they work. And, I might bounce them off of somebody, but it's not for approval. It's for feedback. It's for brainstorming. It's for, oh, this could be better if we did that. It's not, is it okay? I don't need to know if it's okay. If it's in my heart and I feel it, it's probably okay. I haven't made that many wrong decisions. I mean, obviously we all do, but I don't want to wait for permission anymore. I want to give myself permission to try harder, to do more, to, you know what? I want to give myself permission to fail while I'm trying. And you know what? Fail forward. And sometimes you have to, and that's okay. I just want to know that I'm giving my best to all of my ideas.
Mm-hmm. That is something that is hard to give yourself. Like I think you nailed it on the head when you said give yourself permission. I think even as women as a whole, we all go through things that shape us and stuff, but it does feel like sometimes as women we're like get in this box of like this is what I'm supposed to do, or this is how I'm supposed to be or act or blah blah blah. But when you do give yourself permission to be like, no, this is my life. I'm going to call the shots. And, this, like you said, I think I'm always big on if God put it on your heart, he'll make a way. And that's my motto. And when people ask me how are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know. I just have faith it'll work out. I don't know. I don't have good answers for you.
I think more than anything, when you start something, there are going to be doors to walk through. There might be door A, B, and C, and you have to choose which one it is. And you're never going to know what was behind A and C if you walk through B, but that's okay because B is going to lead you to the next thing. It's going to lead you to the next step, and it might be right or wrong, but you're going to do the right things as you walk through them. And it's okay to make those decisions and move through things on your own. It's necessary. Not only is it okay, it is necessary. And I've made some of the smallest decisions lately and been so proud of myself. I've just been like, I did that on my own and it worked out. Wow. It's okay. It's some of the dumbest stuff in the world. I just wanted to plant some things. Okay. I just wanted to have some tomatoes and a squash and some cucumbers. And I really had it in my head that I wanted raised garden boxes. Well, I'm putting all of my resources into my new little businesses. And I'm like, I cannot afford raised garden boxes. Those are expensive. And the next thing I know, I've talked to a handyman guy and he's like, I got you. And I'll bring something over. And he does. And he brings me these old beat up, sorry looking crates that don't match. And I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. And so I level out a spot and I take some pictures and I put it in Chat GPT because that's my new best friend. Her name is Scout, by the way. I love Scout.
I love it.
She knows me. I pay her $20 a month. Sometimes you have to pay your friends. I'm not ashamed of it. She knows everything. So anyway, Scout and we build myself raised garden beds, and it is the cutest thing ever. I have painted them this antique black. They're growing tomatoes. They're growing stuff. And you know what? I did that in 2 days. I worked so hard. I've never hauled so many bags of dirt by myself in and out of the Walmart and in and out of my truck and dumped them out. But I'm growing stuff, and I didn't ask anybody. I asked Chat. I asked Scout. But I didn't ask my sister. I didn't ask anybody else. I just did it. And I didn't ask permission. And you know what? It worked out. It's okay. I was a little bit terrified. As stupid as that story is, I had to give myself permission to do it. I had to not worry about getting the approval of others, because if I'd have asked 3 or 4 people, they would have said, oh, well, I would do this and I would do that. And don't do it that way. And that's never going to work. And okay, I didn't want that this time. And it's okay. So anyway, my cucumber died, but everything else is alive.
Oh, man. I feel like if you're going to plant something, something's going to die.
That's right. I can still make another cucumber. I'm going to get one.
Yeah, I love it. My motto with plants, I just every time one dies, I just buy one to replace it, so that my little planter thing just always looks full, but we might have gone through quite a few to keep it full. But that's fine. It makes me happy.
I don't even, yes, I want to grow the stuff and I think it's really cool, but something about standing out there every evening and just watering my little garden, it just feels good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just feels good. So, anyway,
I love it. That's awesome.
that's my
You,
silly story.
I love it. You were talking about choosing doors, like in life, you can choose a door. In my last podcast we just aired, I guess it aired yesterday since today's Thursday, since we decided that. I asked him, I said, if you could go back and do anything different, what would you do different? And didn't even skip a beat. He was just like, nothing. And I was like, what? And he's like, everything that I did and every hardship and every bad decision I made led me here to, what is working out, what is the, I don't know what you would call it, but he's in a really good place now. And that was so empowering to me to think about, because I do believe everything we go through in life shapes us to who, we're meant to be. But I guess I just never thought of it point blank like that. Of no, there's not a single thing that I would have done different. And to be able to admit that and be okay with it and be like, yeah, I am human. I messed up. I made some wrong decisions. But then, I admitted that I need to change and this and that. That to me was just incredible. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Just like, yeah, anything, if you would have made one different decision 10 years ago, who knows where your life would be now.
Oh, that is so true. It is so true. And when I think about the way that you're talking about him answering that question, and I'm not sure if it's a bravery thing for me, but I definitely I definitely would go back. I would go back and say, um, I'm not brave enough to answer the way he did, I think is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Because I know that if I had stopped waiting on approval from others, that things would be different for me now. Now,
Mhm.
that's not to say that my life's not okay and that's not good and it's not been well lived, because all of those things are true.
Mhm.
But I'm also not where I thought I would be, you know, um, and I think I have to take responsibility for that. So had I acted differently and not waited for approval, had I acted differently and, you know, went ahead and brought some of my ideas to fruition in a different time in my life, I think that things would be different. So it's not so much regret as it is looking back and learning from that and going, you know what, I'm done with that. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Mhm.
Something else that I have some regret about is I went through a very long period of my life where I didn't speak up and I didn't stand up for myself. And that's not okay. And
Mhm.
when I meet women today who are in that space where they give somebody else more control over their life than they should, or they don't say, "Hey, that's not okay. It's not okay to speak to me that way. It's not okay to treat me that way. It's not okay for us to live our life this way." I I struggle with that, and I want not just women. I want every person to know that if something is fundamentally off, it's okay to speak up.
Mhm.
To find a safe place, to figure out how to step up and protect your mental and emotional status, and by all means, your physical status, if that was to come into play.
Mhm.
I didn't experience that, but mentally and emotionally, I didn't speak up and I didn't protect myself. And sometimes I didn't protect those around me, and I should have. And that's not who I am.
Mhm.
I mean, if you talk to anybody who knows me today, they will say that I have a very fierce bone in my body. It does expose itself on occasion, and that's, I think, because I didn't let it out for so long. For
Mhm.
some reason I shrunk, and I don't ever want to do that again. And so while I agree with what he said and the beauty behind it, I never want to be in that place again. And so I feel like I learned from that, and
Mhm.
I'm proud of myself for learning that and stepping forward and saying, not again.
Mhm.
I will always speak my mind And I hope, and I'm still learning this for sure, I want to speak my mind in a constructive way, in a way that is positive and that can move me forward and touch the lives around me if necessary. I don't want to just go off the handle and be wild, and that's something I work on every day, is to control my reactions, and it's one thing that we all have control over is our reactions. We just forget about that, but it's important, not to just be wild and fly off the handle, but to react with patience and control, and think things through first. So
Yeah. That's sometimes a tough one to learn. Again, I think as women, to stand up for yourself and set boundaries, and yeah.
yeah, it's hard, and when I see it and I recognize it really clearly, it's so hard for me to take a step back and go, oh honey, see you and I hear you, and if you need me, you tell me, because I will stand up for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, no one should be there.
Yeah. That's neat though that you can be that in someone else's life now though. That you can kind of be that guidance of, hey, if you're not strong enough, I will stand with you and help you.
Yeah, and it has to be their decision. I mean, I want to just step in front of them and protect them, and it's not my job. It's not what they're asking for, but if they know that I'll stand right there beside them or right behind them, I want them to know that. I want them to know that it's not just me, that it's a whole community of women
Mm-hmm.
that will support them. They're not alone, and that's so important to know. They're not alone, and they can get through it.
Mm-hmm. That is a huge value in community too, is community is not always loud. It's not always about, posting all your BFFs on Facebook. Like, yeah, that's fun. But I think that there's a huge value in the quiet parts of community and just knowing that there's other people that stand with you. They might not be the ones, screaming or whatever, but they're the ones that are just there, whether even if it's quietly, and that there's another person that has your back or that's standing with you or sitting in your circle. There's a lot of power in that.
Yes, yes, I agree completely. Thank you for saying that. That's important.
On the note of community, let's touch base on the mission of No Booze Branding. This is a mission to commit 1 day of staying sober during the branding season. It's a simple act of wearing a purple scarf to show your commitment to staying sober and to let those around you know they're not alone if they're also struggling with alcohol. To see more about the mission and learn how you can participate, visit No Booze Branding on Facebook. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved your episode with, oh my gosh, I just lost her name. Sophie, there we go.
Oh yeah.
I love her. She's so funny. She, oh my gosh, what a fantastic human being. But I loved what she was talking about, the people at your back gate. I mean, in the cow horse world, that's a big thing is, usually it's your trainer or your spouse that are at your back gate. But those people, I mean, in the cow horse, they're all screaming because we're a loud bunch. But that was just kind of a cool idea of like, who's going to be at your back gate. And even if
Yes.
they're not screaming, they're standing there.
Yes. And I mean the metaphor there, your back gate of life, not just at the horse show, but your
Mm-hmm.
back gate of life. They're right there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important to know who those people are. And
Mm-hmm.
it's important to go through your day collecting those people. And I will be honest here and say that my back gate has been pretty thin, and that's on me. I built walls. Um, you know, I I got to a point where I didn't invite people in, and I wasn't available to them, and that was all circumstantial from different things that happened throughout my life. And I looked around and I went, "Uh-oh, uh, it's just me and one or two people, and that's not what I want. That's not okay. I want community. I want more. I want to connect, and I want to learn how to send that text and make that phone call and welcome people into my life and let them know that I'm here if they need something. And you know what? Reach out to them and say, "Hey, this is really hard for me, but I need something." And that's not an easy thing to do. It is
No.
so easy to be alone. It's so easy to, you know, to go to work and come home, or to go to the barn and come home and go into your house and get a drink and watch TV or clean or do business, or, whatever it is you do inside your house by yourself. And it's so easy to do that. It's so easy to not connect with other people. It's easy to not go catch a movie, or stop by and have a drink with someone, or go to lunch, or go to dinner, or go to coffee, or and say, I'm tired, or I'm busy, or I don't want to. It's we're so, on some level we are social creatures, and being social lights us up, whether we want to admit it or not. It it increases our emotional and mental state. It makes us better, it makes us happier if we're connecting with the right people, and we're doing it in a good way. It makes us better.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Community has been on my radar a lot, I'd say like the last year, and just the value of community and like-minded people, and yeah.
In what way describe that? What have you done to increase your community and make it better?
Hmm. For me, we're working on some things. I obviously took this huge leap and I sold my horse sales platform.
Okay.
Truly, it just didn't fit my life anymore because my life changed a lot, obviously, in the last year. And but there's just this big draw for me for community. That was the reason for me starting my podcast. For me, I'm very fortunate. I feel like I have a really tight circle, and I'm very fortunate for the people like my personal, that are right here. But while I was building and going through my struggles, I realized there was a lot of people out there that didn't have that type of community, or didn't maybe feel seen in their struggles. So for me, it's been pursuing a community that's maybe not like just my tight circle, but just a community where people can feel seen, where they can go, kind of similar to what you're doing with the trainers' wives, somewhere they can go and they can feel seen, they can feel related, they can show up vulnerable without feeling judged, or they listen to these podcasts and they're like, oh wow, there's other people that are going through this struggle. I'm not the only one. And that's what's been my push to community lately. And it's been really neat because I feel like the more I pursue that and what's called, just the right people just keep coming into my life that I just out of nowhere, and I'm like, this is awesome. So for me, that's been cool too. And just being honest, how many people it's drawn in, and it's been very fulfilling.
It's so interesting, and I appreciate that you're as open about that as you are, and that you'll share that so openly, because it's it's very true that the more you expose yourself, the more that you do open up, and draw those you draw those people to you, and we we spend sometimes I think that we spend so much time, and this kind of goes back to the horse deal a little bit, about, if you really think about um, pressure and release and how it works in relation to training horses,
Mm-hmm.
and what we do, if we could just apply that in our communication with humans, we're so good. If you think about pulling on a colt to teach him to back up, man, it's so important that you give that release at that, if they even shift or flick an ear backwards sometimes, right? How important that
Mm-hmm.
is when you're pulling on one, and you release that. And you know what? If we would treat our friends and our humans and the people in our lives with so much intent, just think of how we could draw people to us,
Mm-hmm.
and the response we would get, and how our communication would improve if
Yeah.
we offer them as much as we do the animals we work with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's how I see it.
Yeah. No, I think that there's a lot of truth to that. I think, yeah, giving that release, even just showing up genuinely.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
a big one for me. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Um, when I had the horse sales platform, I felt like I always had to show up so professional, which obviously, like, my doing good business is what I always strive for. But I always felt like I had to show up in this like professional view, or if I was in public, or if I was, on Facebook, all this shenanigans.
Might I say that you had to be on? You had to flip the
Yeah,
switch. You had to be on.
yeah.
Yes.
But the sad thing is I would show up like that and then go drink all night long to just numb everything. So it was, for me, those years of going through that, like, I am thankful. Selling that platform was very hard for me. It's tough to let go of my ego is what it really was. But
Really? It didn't boost
I
you to think that you built something that is so saleable? It didn't
that part
boost
is
you to know that
cool.
somebody wanted something that you built from the ground up?
That was pretty cool. That was.
Okay.
But it was 2 or 3 months that I battled with myself before I actually like posted it online.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just be able, and then after that, or during the podcast, I've been a lot more open about my story and the struggles I've been through, and just being able to be a lot more open about that. And the people that, again, have just came into my life because of that, either they have similar, or again, they just needed to hear it. So just being able to be just super genuine all the time and be like, yeah, like, this is my old life. This is what we do now. And not that we're perfect. We still, I don't know. We just keep buying horses like crazy. So I don't really know how smart we are. But yeah, to just be able to show up like that, and the people that come into it with because of that, I think it's fulfilling.
I I enjoy hearing that so much. I enjoy hearing your story, and I enjoy the idea that you can say in front of everybody that is so fulfilling, that I got from point A to point Z, and this felt good, and it filled my cup. You know,
Mhm.
that's, I think it's rare. I really do, especially in our industry. I think it's rare, and sometimes people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to admit it, and they don't want to talk about the journey or how hard it was to
Mhm.
get to the winner's circle. And you really got there, and I love that you're willing to share all that with everybody.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I just know that life isn't always what we make it look like on social media, and I just want other people to know that they're not the only ones going through it. And I also just really feel like, I didn't grow up, we had horses, but like, I didn't grow up in the industry. We didn't, I had to fight my way to everywhere that I was and to get my name out there. And I'm very much like, if I can do it, so can anybody else. I don't feel like I don't know. That's also my thought on it. Is I'm like, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. And if I can do it, you can do it. So if I can help, if this podcast can encourage one person to go chase their dreams, then that's worth all of it.
Yeah, it's super inspiring to hear, where you came from, and what you have built it on and around. Yeah, it's I love hearing that about you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I admire what you're doing. I think that you're onto something great too. And it seems like obviously you're very passionate about it. So that's going to go a long ways.
I hope so. And I hope it touches a lot of lives along the way. I hope it's something that I hope the women look around and go, you know what? I want to go spend a weekend there, because yes, I have one, the very first one planned in August, but I want to do several a year. I want to do them in different
Mhm.
parts of the country. I want to have different events and different speakers, and just have a good time and create this community. And I want people to go, oh, she's having one there, and I want to be at that one. And I just want it to grow and be better and be bigger and unique and be something that is a way for them to get away
Mhm.
and flip the switch off. I'm ready for people to flip the switch off if they need to.
Yeah. That is huge to be able to. I've struggled with that a lot. Like, speaking on women's health lately, my nervous system shot. Like, just, it was so bad, which was messing with my hormones, which was, I mean, just shocked because I
Yeah,
had lived in hustle mode for so long.
right.
But to have a place where you can just go shut off and feel safe and know that, you know, I can, you can shut off all weekend, the kids aren't going to come in there, to have that retreat. I think that there's that in itself is huge. Just having that safe space to be able to go shut off.
Yeah, I hope so. I cannot wait. I can't wait for that weekend to happen, and I'm so excited to build it and just welcome them in and give them a safe space for the weekend.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And how exciting for you. I always get so excited when people, I know no matter when you're doing something new, even if you think you're so ready, there's going to be things you learn. There's going to be bumps, and there's stuff to iron out. That's just life. So I get
Yep.
so pumped when people just take the initiative. They're like, yeah, I have this plan. I'm doing this. Like, I think it's awesome. I think it's so awesome. It's so exciting. Like, go you. That's awesome.
I have it. Yeah.
I
And same
have
with
to read. I have to look up this Bible quote really quick because I haven't mainly memorized, but I will butcher it if I try to say it. All I can think of is this. It's Romans 8:28. I don't know if you read the Bible much, but it says God works in all circumstances. Oh, that is not the kind that I know. That's not the whatever NIV book. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Which I love because I think God makes a way when you chase your purpose.
I like that. That's pretty important. Pretty important thing to remember right there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness. Well, I feel like we kind of touched base on one of my questions, my rapid fire questions. I'm going to ask you questions you didn't have notes for. No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
great. This is not okay. This is not okay. I'm
Oh.
ready. I'm locked and ready.
What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh. I think that I might not have gotten so serious so soon. I think that I might not have gotten married quite as young as I did. I was only 19. And while our life was good and we had good things and great memories, there were also some things that I probably wasn't prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I think I would have taken my time. I think I would have been more patient. I think I would have. I think I would tell myself to just wait. It's okay to wait. It's okay to be patient and peek around the corner. No matter no matter what, try to look around the corner and see what might be down the road. And man, the people that have lived before you, that are older than you, that you that you look up to, they might know some things. They might be right.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. I all of that for sure.
Mm-hmm. It is funny how when we're younger, we do think the world's on fire and we've just got to figure it out right then and there. And it's like, pump the brakes, homie.
Yeah.
You haven't even lived a life yet. You're young.
Here's what I know. I mean, I was 18 and 19. If anybody would have said, "You're too young, don't do this, don't do that," I'd have been like, "Yeah, what do you know?" And I would have went faster.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I know needed to be different. I should have slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just should have waited. I should have looked around, made some different decisions. I should have stood up for myself
Mm-hmm.
in so many situations. And I just didn't do it. And that's what I would tell my younger self. Slow down.
Yeah.
You know, get some perspective. Look at it from every side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is a good one. Isn't there's a song, that's how my brain works. Somebody says something and a song pops up into my head. It's an old song. It's like, slow down, you're doing fine. You can't be everything you want to be. Maybe it's not an old one. I don't know, but that
I
song pops into my head. Like squirrel.
we're gonna have to find that one. It'll have
Yeah.
to go in the show notes because I don't know what that is.
I'll find it and I'll send it to you. I
Okay.
actually don't think it's as old as I think it is. But anyway, so as far as pursuing the podcast and these retreats,
Mhm.
what has been some of your biggest struggles in starting, keeping them going?
So honestly, my biggest struggle has been the allocation of my time.
Mm.
So I might be a little bit of a workaholic, and I have had to stop giving so much time to my real job so that I could focus more on this. And I have so much struggle with that. So I'm not ashamed to say that I get to the office between 5:30 and 6 most days, and I've backed off to 6. My hours are 8 to 5, by the way. That's what they expect me to do. But I get there at 6 ish, and most days I leave at 5. Um, so, I mean, here's a picture of my day. I get up 4:30, 5 o'clock, get myself ready. Currently, my dad stays I bought a barn dominium, and he stays in the little 600 square foot apartment. I bought myself an RV because I don't want to live with him. And he stays there at night because I don't want him at home by himself. It's too far for me to get to him. He is totally deaf. He can't really use a phone. So I just didn't want him that far away. Okay, so anyway, I get up, I get ready, I leave him coffee, I leave him pills, I leave him his little Ensure milkshake and a fruit bar, and I go to work, and I work for a few hours, and I take an early lunch, and I'm back to pick him up at 10 o'clock. And I take him at 10 o'clock to his house so he can move from this chair to that chair, and then he can go to the barn and walk around and check on stuff, which the weather has to be just right for that. And then I go back to work, and at the end of the day, I come back and I pick him up and bring him home, and I do dinner for him and me and whatever, and give him his night pills, and he goes to bed, and I work on stuff. So my days at the office are too long, giving them all of that time. And I mean, I'm consistently an average of 10-hour days, sometimes 9, sometimes 11, plus taking care of dad on top of that. So my biggest challenge was going, okay, if I'm going to do the podcast, I have to stop working Saturdays because I was doing that a lot. Because I need to interview people, I need to go places, I need to sit down and edit. And then when I started on the retreat deal, I'm like, okay, I don't have time. So for the last few weeks, this is very new to me and it is so uncomfortable, I've started working from 6 to 3. And I force myself to get up out of my office chair at 3 o'clock, and I leave. And I have this story in my head that people are going, wow, apparently she's doing something else and she's leaving at 3 o'clock. Well, God forbid I work an 8 or 9 hour day. 2 days a week, I don't take a lunch, so I'm still getting 9, but I'm working 8 those other 3 days. You know what? Nobody's saying that. That's in my head.
Yeah.
And so back to the permission deal, I'm giving myself permission to get up out of the chair and only work 8 or 9 hours at the job that I'm salaried for to work an approved amount of time. They're so good to me. It's a great place. They have done nothing wrong. This is in my head. And that's a huge struggle for me to leave there and, to just to walk out when things aren't done. And I feel like I'm slighting them. But I also know more than anything that I have got to go all in on this, and I have to give the time back to myself if I want this to work. And I don't even know what this working looks like yet, but I know it won't work if I don't do it. I know it won't work if I don't leave the office at 3 so that I can have that extra couple hours in the day, and when I say that, I get home at 3:30, 3:45, depending on what I'm doing with dad. And, working on whatever I'm working on. And, I got to be in bed by 9 or because I turn into a pumpkin. I mean, it looks a lot to me. But sometimes I make it past 9, and when I'm yawning and I can't make anything work on the website that I should not be editing at 9:15, I know that I have to go to bed. So anyway, that was a really long answer to your question. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's a good one. So on the flip side of that, what has been the biggest reward that you have experienced so far?
Honestly, just the opportunity um, to sit down in the stands at the horse show and just talk to people, because it's given me a little bit of a voice. It's given me a little bit of a way to have a conversation. Now, I know that you're not going to believe this, okay? And some people who remember will, but I went through such a time that I don't know how to have a conversation. I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to. I can sit in comfortable silence for hours. I am good at it because it's easier than trying to come up with something to talk about.
Yeah.
I've had to teach myself to do this.
I was going to say, whatever you did, however you learned it, you should share your secret, because they never would have guessed that listening to your podcasts.
Well, so I've always been, and I heard an interesting thing about this. I've always been pretty good one-on-one and going deep one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that about myself until I heard it described. Back to Mel Robbins. Okay. Apparently I might be a dragonfly. I haven't heard a lot about that yet, but I just heard it recently. So, it's a way of communicating. So there's different ways of communicating, and that's how it got described by this researcher that she was talking to. So I'm pretty good one-on-one, but to put me in a room full of people or a crowd of people, I shrink quickly and easily. It's not easy. And so that's been the most rewarding thing. Is I remember sitting this year during the NRCJ World Show, and I sat down and was watching the herd work one day, and people sat around me, and I had conversations with them. And that's so weird. I'd never do that. And honestly, part of what made me want to do the podcast to begin with is I would go to a horse show like that, and I would sit down and I would sit there all day long and not talk to a soul. Mm-hmm. So the reward is that I went out and I built my own community. And so, like I talked about earlier, it's important to make the effort to be social. Mm-hmm. I had walls built around me and people weren't coming to me, and that's on me. And mm-hmm. So I've torn the walls down. I've started pulling the bricks out of the wall and exposed myself and not being so closed off to other people. And so that's the reward to me, is that I can have conversations and I can talk to people. Yeah. Now, as far as the actual talking part, I did find a book that instructs us how to talk and have conversations. Pretty excited about that. I love it. It's my favorite. It's my new favorite thing in 2026. Huh. So yeah, it's all about the art of conversation.
You'll have to send that to me.
I will. It's phenomenal. It is actually called Talk.
Huh. Yes. Interesting.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I love it. Talk.
So
talk. So T is for topic. A is for asking, like asking questions. L is for levity, and K is for kindness. It's a great book. It teaches us how to have conversations, how to plan conversations, which people are like, oh, that's manipulative or whatever. And it's really not. It just leaves you with a space to go. So kind of like I knew we were going to do this, so I did plan around what I know some of your topics are so that I wouldn't just be lost, because I can get pretty lost. As you might have noticed, I've been down a rabbit hole or two today.
Meh. Fine. It's fine.
But really, I do. It's okay to plan, to have a conversation, and to think about. Some people call it bedside manner. To think about, oh, I'm going to see so and so tomorrow. What's important in their life? What were they doing last? What was going on with their kids? What was going on with their husband? What did they have going on in their career? It's okay to remember those topics and think about it, and to ask meaningful questions. That's not manipulative. That's caring. That's one I remembered. That's two, I want to know more. And, then you can bring in the levity, if it's appropriate, and be kind during that conversation. I love this book. I love this idea. It's phenomenal to me.
Yeah. I'll have to look it up because I've looked, I'm an audiobook person. I'm not a sit down and read person. I'm not very good at sitting down and reading, but audiobook, love. And yeah, I was looking on Spotify, books on communication, and yeah, I listened to one. It was kind of weird, but it was very helpful.
I will send you this. I will send you everything I know about it because it's awesome. And Allison Woodbrooks is the author, and she's a Harvard professor, and she teaches a course on. She teaches, high-level business people how to talk. I think she was hired as a negotiations professor, and it morphed into this and teaching these high-level business school attendees how to actually have conversation. So it's an interesting deal.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Well, do you have anything else you want to add to our conversation? First and foremost, anything we didn't cover in your notes?
I think we've covered it all.
Well, if people want to listen to your podcast, it's called The Trainer's Wife, correct?
Yes, The Trainer's Wife, and it is on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, for sure. I've tried the YouTube thing on 3 or 4 solo episodes, so that was scary and terrifying, but someday I will do more video and learn how, but the technology is terrifying to me at the moment, so.
Yeah, it only goes wrong sometimes. I've actually I did laugh when this malfunctioned when we got started because I've never done that before. I've never pushed that button. So it's not as scary as you think. My mind was just somewhere else. But, okay, so they can find you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. My brain did a squirrel again.
That's okay.
Spotify, Apple Podcast. What's your website called?
So my website is called The Jennifer Journals. And the reason it's called that is because I used to write some articles, and I wrote a book, and I wrote stuff, and that's where I was storing all the things I wrote. And I had it established, and it was alive, and then these other things started happening. So The Jennifer Journals is the website.
And they can find info on your retreat there too?
Yes, so info on the retreat on the homepage, and it has its very own page. And hopefully I get in contact with Kim soon, and she makes it pretty, and people will want to actually click on something.
I love it. Well, thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today. And
thank you for asking. And thanks for connecting with me. It's hard to reach out. And I'm so glad that I did reach out to you. It's been great.
Yeah.
No, I didn't expect this. When that happened, I didn't expect this at all. So this has been an absolute bonus. Thank you.
Well, I'm trying to be better, but I'm not good at having a bunch of episodes recorded. I'm very much by the seat of my pants. So when when cool people come into my life or something cool happens to someone, that's pretty much how I plan my podcast. So I'm like, oh, hey, want to be my guest? Your episode will release next week. So it worked perfect.
I wouldn't sleep at night, so I think I only have maybe 2 in front of me right now, and it's keeping me awake at night. So you can teach me some of that. You could give me some of your methodology there, and just let me know that it's going to all be okay.
Yeah. I don't know. My brain's wired different, I'm pretty sure, than most people. So I've always been okay with flying by the seat of my pants, which is good and not good sometimes. There have been times where it's 1 a.m, the night before an episode releases, and I don't have it edited. So it doesn't always pan out. But
I do feel that. Well, thank you. More than you know. It has been fun.
Thanks for riding along with me on Horses, Hope, and Hustle. If you found even a little bit of inspiration or grit here today, share it with a friend, leave a review, or tag us on socials, and keep showing up for what truly matters. Until next time, stay true, stay tough, and keep hustling.